John, go ahead.
Good afternoon and good evening and welcome to Metal Mayhem ROC. I'm John the Vernomatic Verno, along with my metal partner Mark, Forever Metal Mark.
And we're just all the time.
Okay. Forever Metal.
Forever Metal. Well, Forever Mark, whatever.
Yeah.
And we're lucky enough tonight to have a guest of ours, Kobra, from the band Kobra and the Lotus.
Hello.
We're outside the Montage Music Hall and just had a chance to see a stellar hour and 15-minute set of some new material, some old material, and some fan favorites. Kobra, thanks for sitting down with us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Of course, beginning night of the solo tour, or the headline tour.
Yeah. Yeah, we have only 4 days, so this was the first one, and it was nice to actually play for longer than 30 minutes. Though I can't complain about the tour we're on, it's been great.
The big tour, opening for Sebastian Bach on the 30-year anniversary of the debut album.
Skid Row 30. It's pretty cool.
As I was watching the show tonight and I was hip to that tour, is it a Canadian connection?
I think so, actually. I do think it's a little bit of a Canadian connection. That's the first thing out of his mouth, you know, when he met us was, "You guys are Canadian, right?"
Yeah.
And we were like, "Yeah."
That's cool.
This is so cool. Yeah.
Nice. How is it touring with Bach?
It's been great. I mean, he's really funny. He has been very welcoming. We just go with the flow every day. We're good at that at this point, you know. So.
Now, were you a Skid Row fan back in the day, or did you discover them
I was
recently?
a big-time Skid Row fan. So my inner high school girl was just like, "This is awesome," because specifically Sebastian Bach was one of the first. That was my first idea of kind of like a rock star. When I saw him in those YouTube videos charging across the stage, Wembley Stadium 1991, I used to watch those a lot when I was in high school and just be like, man, I want to be a part of that somehow. On the stage though, you know, not in the audience. I want to be a part of that. So he was definitely right alongside with whatever fueled me to start a band. And so to do this launch on his tour at such a pinnacle time in their history too, it really means a ton, actually. Yeah, I was kind of surprised that this happened, you know, because I was like, man, my 15-year-old self could have ever guessed this.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I would have been like, no freaking way. Yeah.
Now you and Mark have a history, and
not a long. Yeah, we do in a way, I suppose.
And throughout our, we've been doing
a wee one, 2021.
We've been doing a broadcast, and ever since we started this, Mark has always been dropping the Kobra and the Lotus on the show. He's like,
"Thank you."
I always tell you about this band. I'm like, "Come on, man, you gotta check them out."
He's always saying to me, "Vernomatic, you gotta check these guys out." I'm like, you know, we have a segment called Stream It for Vengeance, where there's some new music, and we try to,
cool name.
Stream for Vengeance.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
And we try to the mission statement of our podcast is. We're a bridge from old school metalheads getting up to speed with new stuff and new metalheads going back and understanding how it used to be. In between that, we cross the bridge and bring in our movement of metal forward, which we're a big proponent of.
Yeah.
Because we don't, you know.
Well, you know, it's interesting. So I was out of town before I came here for the show tonight, and I was in the car, and I was watching one of your, I guess they call them Facebook chats or whatever.
Yeah, Facebook Live.
The live things, and you're interacting with your fans.
Yeah.
And you talked about Carl Bengay. Do I say his name right? From Grave Lords. Carl Bengay. I've only met him a few times. I know Mark Broman as well. And I think that's how I first found out about your music and your band when they used to have that playlist. Way back, they used to have the CD that came in the old school magazine.
Right.
Then that went away, which was so cool. That's how I found a lot of new bands. But then you guys came on the playlist. I'm like, who the heck is this band, Kobra and the Lotus, right?
Yeah.
I heard your voice. I heard the music, old school metal roots. So, yeah, I was into you all from back then. And I know your new album is called Evolution, right? Yeah. So one of my questions is, as you look back now, 8, 9 years, almost 10 years almost since you started this band, how has this evolved? How has the evolution been in your mind from, you know, when you started to what it's going to be now? Because there's only 2 songs out so far, right? So yeah, we haven't heard the rest yet, but tell us about that.
Well, I mean, I think that if people heard Out of the Pit, which is our very first record, you can hear that it's metal and rock right from the very get-go.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that we're bringing more hard rock to the surface, but we're keeping it heavy, Marcus Lee, everybody.
What's up, man?
I think it's very authentic to us, actually. I mean, I would say as we've gone along, we've just honed into finding more of an identity that people can identify us as, like a sound for Kobra and the Lotus. Because I think it's really important, you know, like as we developed along the way, we had a lot of very flattering but throwback comments to you're a new Doro, or you're
Bruce,
a female Bruce Dickinson,
yeah.
or something, and I was just like, no, like I'm actually Kobra Paige. This is how my voice is, and I do fall into a bit of that genre for sure. But how do we like make this have more of an identity? And I think we've stepped closer to that every record. We really started to step even closer on Prevail 1, Prevail 2, where we also started to modernize the sound just a little bit, because I think a tasteful modernization of the sound also represented that we are from like the later 2008 to 10 birth, you know. So I wanted to also acknowledge that, yeah, we are like part of the new generation of rock and roll and metal, you know. So
that leads me to my next question or comment. I saw that you worked with Kevin Shirley on the first one.
yeah,
That Kevin Shirley?
that Kevin Shirley.
That's impressive. Kevin Shirley is the producer of the last 20 years of Iron Maiden. Oh.
Actually.
And then,
He's
it's a heavy metal show. What did you expect? Just kidding. Here we go.
But he's done tons of
We
stuff.
gotta upgrade this, John.
Okay, here.
Keep going. We're good.
So when I read that, and I have a little Canadian connection. When I graduated high school in '86, I went to school in Toronto at Trevis Institute of Recording Art.
Okay.
And I lived right on Yonge Street, right next to
that's a great area.
right next to the Carlton.
Yeah.
I lived on my apartment building was called the Maples,
Holy smokes.
19th floor. I looked over my balcony to the Carlton. But
Nothing like Oreos to stabilize the camera.
but it leads
Double
me to
perfect.
the question about female singers. Now, you just mentioned some compared you to Doro, you know, the older.
Yeah.
What about some of the Canadian, Lee Aaron, or
I have
something
heard
like?
that a few times, and I mean, I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's always a compliment, you know. Like if it's music that people are also endeared to, and these are people that have legendary histories, like I feel very flattered, you know.
Well, let's compare it to some of your contemporaries, some of the people in Europe, like Lizzie Hale, or you know, the girl from Angela Glasson from Arch Enemy, where they're you know, they're you know, Angela and the Butcher Baby Girl, you know, they're a little heavier, but your vocals are fantastic. I mean, I walked in there, I've been a fan for a week and a half after Mark invited me, and I had a chance to sit down with Marcus at the bar, and we had a little conversation, and I honestly walked away from that show. You guys were having fun, and I had fun.
Awesome.
You have a fan in
That's
me,
what we hope for.
and you especially on there, fantastic singer. And in my research, I read the story that you saw Rob Halford singing Painkiller, and you were just like, you're like,
yeah,
that's what I'm doing.
It was like actually it was the moment where I discovered there was a place for my voice specifically that totally didn't have to be classical, because I hadn't actually been exposed to a lot of metal yet. I really got into punk rock. That was my first alternative dip, was into punk rock, and then my dad actually took me to see Judas Priest on the Painkiller tour, and I was just like, man, that vibrato, that tone, that range, I was like, I can do something else with this voice that I have, and it doesn't have to be opera. Yes,
excellent.
You know, because not that I don't appreciate classical music still, and also operatic vocals, because that is really tough to do. But yeah, security dog.
Yes.
Well, besides enjoying your performance,
it just wasn't my heart and soul wasn't in it. Security dog.
I was very impressed with your band, and
thank you.
I noticed that they're sort of scattered across the country. He's fine.
Yeah.
Marcus is from Chicago. The guitarist Jarlos is her.
Yasho.
Yeah.
Jar loss.
What about this gentleman? What's your name, sir?
Ronnie?
Ronnie.
Yes, sir.
Hey,
You gotta put your head in the camera.
What's up, Ronnie?
Vernomatic and Mark from Metal Mayhem.
Nice to meet you, man. Good show, man. Awesome.
Yeah, enjoyed the show. Looks like you and the bass player are having some fun up there, too.
Yeah.
How long have you been in the band?
For a little over a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're the new guy, isn't it?
Yeah.
We locked in a new record with him pretty quickly. It's pretty awesome. He's all over it. So.
Well, good job. And, Thursday night here, we enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. Well, you mentioned female artists, and I guess I was going to ask you this question because you get very personal in your music.
Yeah.
And on social media, and I know sometimes you even struggle with that social media platform in general. I was going to ask you about, did you have a relationship with Jill Janis? Did you know Jill from Huntress?
I actually didn't, and I never met her.
But you have talked about that before, though, correct?
No.
Oh, you have not?
I actually, really didn't know her. I knew of her.
Yeah.
And it's very tragic, what happened. I feel very sorry for her family and her friends. And of course, I feel bad for anyone that's struggling that way because there are so many people that we don't know about that are going through that. We only really hear about well-known people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a commonality. This is a thing that happens. Parents off themselves and leave their children. This is kids kill themselves. So yeah, it's very sad.
And you've used your platform though to talk about those issues and social media and how you can hide some of the things that people are struggling with or going through, right? I mean,
yeah.
Even yourself, and at different times you're like, hey, this touring life and recording life, is that always, and it's tough, right? It's tough to balance it all the time.
It's very tough. Mostly, actually, the toughest thing is you can't financially keep up to a band if it doesn't pass a certain point, and we just have not been able to break through the surface enough to keep up with what we need, and we're all becoming older. Some of us have had kids, and that's why I totally understand why bands start quitting around our age,
right?
Because it just becomes unsustainable.
We keep hearing and reading about some of the older bands saying, I don't know how these younger bands are doing it. You're not making any money selling CDs.
I don't know either. I've even wondered how other bands are doing it because we can barely do it anymore. And I'm just how are bands doing it these days? And with the algorithms on social media, there's no street postering anymore. It's social media, and there's algorithms because it's a business model, and your own fan base doesn't even see what you post unless you boost to your own fans. It's I don't even know how to operate around this game anymore.
But meanwhile, the song Trigger Pulse, that did go crazy though on social media, right?
That one went pretty quick with the plays.
Over 1 million plays and views, and so you had those moments, right? Obviously, and you've had your exposure when you were with Kiss and Def Leppard, right? I mean,
it didn't do much, to be honest.
And that's kind of why we started this whole show of that, we've got this, we went to Maiden, and I know you like Maiden, you talk about the references to Bruce, but we're selling out arenas, no radio play, no new record or album to speak of, no promotion, and bang, you go to the stadium and they're sold out, right? 18,000 fans, 20,000 fans, that's why we're rooting for bands like you, and we want you to keep going, and we want you to keep putting music.
More importantly, Kobra, and that's why you gained a fan in me, and that is as growing as our platform is, we're doing our share. So if we could sit here, sit down with you, take this, go back and keep it bring underground to the masses. Just try to say, if I own a business myself, 22 years, and my goal is one new customer a day. Now, if you can make an impact, tonight. At one point, right near the end of the set, you're that smile on your face was sincere. You're
for real.
All right, fuck yeah.
Of course.
Thursday night in Rochester,
And I mean, to be honest, you cannot do this. You cannot take the massive risk that we take without loving what you do. And Now You Speak is this one customer a day thing. So this is, I think, our 4th time back at this venue.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same amount of people.
Right.
We paid more to be here tonight than it cost us. So that if that puts it in perspective, it was like, I looked at it as like the guys tonight, I was like, this was a wonderful moment, but we can't do this anymore. And I'm real, and so I'm like, let's value these moments, and we really appreciate the people that come because they really, really want to be there, you know, and it's wonderful. It's a wonderful connection, but at the same time, like that right there is the example of how this is not sustainable. And we promoted ourselves online.
Most definitely.
I don't know what the promoter here did, but you know, like.
Well, that's we've been working with some bands and promoting shows, but when we've done that, we've done a lot, like ticket drops, going to all the record stores in town, going to the musician shops.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it's good, but to your point,
networking, our social and personal networks.
But it has an impact, but it's not as dramatic as you would think. And we've had some big bands come through town too, and sometimes it's symptomatic of the market or the town or the city. And obviously, Rochester's not as big as like New York, clearly. And I know you guys drive bigger crowds in those markets, but no, it's tough. But I think it's getting tough in the industry as a whole, right? With
it is.
It's getting harder to sell music. It's getting harder to get the music exposed. So this is it's a challenge, but also it's an opportunity in some way. Some people are gonna have to figure this out, right? And how you're gonna keep it going and make it go. But,
and I actually don't know how. I gotta be honest. It's like it's becoming very puzzling.
And your product's good. The music's there.
Thank
the vocals
you,
are there.
know,
like I told you, but Prevail 1, Prevail 2. It's like whether you call it metal or rock or whatever that. It's as good. It holds up to everything else. It holds up to me. It holds up to Free. It holds up to all the classics. It does.
Yeah.
Do you want to have some fun now?
Let's have some fun.
Yeah, we're trying to get too serious.
Yeah,
so
we have a segment on the show called Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
Okay. We talked about this. Why don't we do her Mount Rushmore of bands?
Yeah, just four top favorite bands come to mind.
Oh man. Okay. Fleetwood Mac came to the surface really quick.
Okay.
Led Zeppelin.
All time now, Cobra.
Let's see here. Yeah, all time.
Okay.
All time. I'm a classic rock girl. I mean, I was born and raised on classic rock.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I grew up with the Beatles, Queen, Michael Jackson. I love Michael Jackson. Yeah, it's changed too, you know, like metal bands aren't my favorite and the top thing anymore. It's still those classic rock though.
Yeah.
So Led Zeppelin, Fleetwood Mac. I'm gonna say like right now, Jeff Buckley is for sure up there.
Okay.